A lovely misty morning in Wansford. Came here 3 weeks ago. Well, we didn't come here, we come to the field next door. Wansford pasture, Wansford Meadow, for a nice collection of Southern Marsh Orchids. But next door to that is another field that isn't part of the reserve, which I visited last year. And again, it's Southern Marsh Orchid that grow here down in the marshy areas, but they were huge last year. They really struck me as being the biggest Southern Marsh Orchids I'd ever seen, because they grow in long grass. And basically, if they're not tall, they don't get to the light. So I thought I'd pop back and just see how they're faring this year. They're usually worth seeing. Not many of them, but good ones. So yeah, that's the reason for getting out and about this morning, is seeing how they fared in 2020. Well, that's a big one. That's a couple of feet tall, if not taller. But as you can see, it's having to grow in some pretty tall vegetation. Basically, if these lot don't get up high, as I say, they don't see the light, so they grow big here. Southern Marsh Orchid. You've got quite an interesting and straightforward comparison here between a Southern Marsh Orchid and a Grandees hybrid. The one we're looking at here is a pure Southern Marsh Orchid. Nothing complicated about the flower colour or the patterns on the leaves, which are sort of straight down the middle, spots on a slightly lighter throat. That's just a classic pure Southern Marsh Orchid. But if we move across to this one, you can see completely different patterns on the flowers. You've got something that looks a lot more like a common spotted orchid, with the flowers, with the patterns on the flowers spreading out, and a slightly different shape to the flower, but it's mainly the patterns on the flowers that distinguish it. A very interesting open flower type on this one. Might have to look closely at this one when I get home, actually, as to what it is, if it isn't just a strange looking Southern Marsh. Seems to be all sorts going on that one. Another very nice Grandees hybrid. Wow, that's impressive. Lovely collection of Southern Marsh Orchid, and no doubt a shed full of every hybrid you could imagine. Very good. It's quite unusual to see a bog standard common spotted orchid. I wonder if this is one of the parents of the hybrids. I mean, it's not far off a Southern Marsh colour palette, but I think that is just a pure common spotted orchid. The vast majority of the flowers in this swarm are the Grandees hybrids with complex flower patterning like this one. It's a hybrid swarm. How impressive is that? Just wandered around the other side of this high grass and there's another swarm. That's fantastic. Again showing those distinctive early marsh orchid sacs coming down, just to compare with the one at the back there, which is a straightforward. Is it a straightforward Southern Marsh? I think that's a straightforward Southern Marsh. Straightforward common spotted. What else have we got here? Jump across. That looks like a hybrid Grandees common spotted. So you've got them all here. You've got the full set. You want to work these out, this is a place to come. Might do your head in. Quite a classic Grandees hybrid here. Pretty easy to identify. Spotted leaves. This is a big plant. Quite a pale form. Very distinctive Southern Marsh orchid shaped flowers, but with the common spotted markings. But really you can just say Southern Marsh flowers, spotted leaves. That's a full-on Grandees hybrid. A very nice one as well. What an incredible sight. If you love your orchids, it don't get better than that. Brilliant. Well, I've got to leave these orchids at some point. Having seen such a fantastic showing, I'm going to head back through the nature reserve, which is next door. I think I can just walk round to it just to see what's happened in the last 3 weeks that we've been absent from there. But what a fantastic show. I didn't expect this. Absolutely tremendous. You have Southern Marsh orchid and every conceivable hybrid. Absolutely tremendous, and if you want to sort your hybrids out and understand them, this is the place to come to. So yeah, it's next to the Wansford Pasture Reserve. You've got to come down the Kingscliff Road from Wansford. It's almost immediately on your left. You've got to go over a gate and then you're in here and head down to the bottom of the field. Right, there's nothing in this field unless you go right down to the bottom. It's very wet. Get some wellies on, but wow. Absolutely fantastic show of a very large, healthy Southern Marsh orchid. Really, really good. Most of the common spotted seem to be on this colour theme, which is making me a bit suspicious, but the spotted leaves, yeah, I mean potentially there's a bit of Southern Marsh in there. It's the same colour palette over and over again. It's probably back crossed quite a lot of times with common spotted, so it's a sort of 90% common spotted, 10% Southern Marsh. Who knows? Another one of these with very distinctive early marsh orchid sacs coming down from the top. But it's also a mixed bag. With an early marsh orchid, all the markings would be inside those sacs. With this one, they're not. It's a hybrid of some sort. It's got to have early marsh in this. Absolutely got to. This one's an absolute clonker. They say first generation hybrids grow big. I wonder if this is one of those. It's definitely a hybrid. As definite as I can be anyway. It's a monster. Very clear early marsh orchid markings on the top of that one. This is an absolutely humongous common spotted orchid. It really is. About 2.5 feet tall, this one, with a huge flower head. Good to see. Everywhere you look, there are clonking Southern Marsh Orchid in the distance. Now this is an interesting one. I thought I saw one of these in the other field, but I wasn't sure because it was damaged, but this one isn't. This is another of these with very open flowers. Now there used to be an orchid known as the Southern Marsh Orchid, which has been recently reclassified as a form of Southern Marsh, but it is a variation that has these very open flowers. But another characteristic that the Pugsleys or former Pugsleys has is that only the flowers tend to grow on one side of the flower head more than the other, which if you look down on this one you can see on this side you've got flowers and you've got this kind of flat area here where they're not growing out, and I would say that's got every chance of being exactly what I think it is. I'll put the title because it's a very long-winded title on the bottom of the screen once I've verified this, but I'm sure that is quite a rarity for these parts. I keep looking at this one, trying to work it out. It's got spotted leaves. It's got Southern Marsh shaped flowers, but it's got those early marsh orchid sacs, particularly towards the top, I think. Yeah, I mean they have. So that could be a three-way hybrid, or it may originally have been something like a Grand East that's then crossed with an early marsh orchid. I'm pretty sure that is a three-way hybrid. I've seen these before at Souththorpe. I think that's another of these big open flowered former Pugsley's Marsh Orchid types. Not as certain with this one, but I think it is. Every time I see a white in a distance like this one, I race down the hill thinking it might be a white Southern Marsh Orchid. Not there's any chance of me seeing one of them again, but it's not. It's just a straightforward, pure, common spotted orchid. What an absolutely stunning common spotted orchid. Really, really nice. Another wonderful collection of plants here. I mean, the markings on some of these flowers are pretty breathtaking. Really, really good. A lovely collection. Can't believe what I've just walked into here. I really just thought there was zero chance of this. Another white Southern Marsh Orchid, this time in Peterborough. Gobsmacked. Brilliant. Yeah, completely taken aback by that. I really didn't think, having seen one at the dunes recently, to see another one but in my own backyard. That is amazing. I reckon this will be the only one in Peterborough anywhere. This has to be an absolute clonking first generation Grandis hybrid. It's a big one. Glorious plant. Amazing. I can't stop smiling. What a fantastic site, this and the field next door. I've always said Fulbourn Fen in Cambridge was the best marsh orchid site I've ever seen. I think Wansford Pasture Meadow and the field next door has just taken that crown. An absolutely breathtaking collection of Southern Marsh Orchid and every hybrid conceivable. And that white one, that is a rarity with a capital R. That is brilliant. Yeah, I wasn't expecting a whole lot from this visit, but I'm blown away, absolutely blown away. Absolutely fantastic visit. I should definitely be coming back here again every season. Really, really good. Very impressed.